I'm glad both Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray could be here tonight. They're both very talented guys. Dan, of course, as Bill, I think, was one of the original members of Saturday Night Live. Went on to make hit movies like Blues Brothers, Trading Places. The latest movie is called Ghostbusters, which opens this Friday. Would you welcome, please, Dan Aykroyd? Good to see you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Boy, I'm incredibly nervous. You look resplendent tonight, sir. Just tremendous.
It looks a little high school promish, doesn't it?
Well, that's okay. You can carry it, I think.
Yeah. This is me. How you been?
Very good, very good. Very excited about Ghostbusters.
Are you really?
Yeah, absolutely. It's got lots of laughs, lots of special effects, and family picture, and we're very, very excited. It's going to be a good one.
Okay, thank you, Dan, for being with us. Now, my next guest. Got it all out of the way right now. No, I was reading Time earlier today, and Time magazine, which very often, for some reason, shoots down.
Coca-Cola bought that one for us, yeah.
Yeah.
No, just...
And they liked it.
That's good. It's nice for a change to be appreciated by the press.
Yeah. Would you come on with a book tonight? What?
Well,
this has to do. I know what this is about.
This is basically has to do with my pitch for the American Society for Psychical Research. Now, in the movie Ghostbusters, we deal with ESP and ghosts and apparitions and all of this stuff that many of you out there may not believe in at all. But in fact, there is a group in New York that treats this all very seriously, and this is their journal here. I have a picture, in fact, of my grandfather.
Come on.
Here,
are you putting me on?
Now, take a look at this. This is
Can I look at this first?
Very strange.
This is your grandfather?
Yes, he was a grandfather. He was a psychic, a medium. He corresponded with Bertrand Russell, and this picture was taken at his writing desk in Canada. And you see these heads that appear around him. They are completely, inexplicable. He wouldn't have faked this because he was a very, very astute man and very, very serious about this type of work. And
can I show the picture?
Sure. One of the
who took the picture?
The picture was taken by a friend of him, a friend of his, and
your grandfather now is.
That is yeah. So
your grandfather's down below.
He's the one down below, and the guy on the. On to our left there.
Looks like the Dutch Masters ad for cigars. You sure it's not the Dutch Masters cigar ad? He had a box of cigars back of him?
Absolutely.
See, I have to play devil's advocate on this, Dan. Now.
Well, I know. And, I'm going out on a limb here, but you can see that the eyes and the other characters are very, very black. And these heads didn't appear, of course, in the original negative, and it was only after the picture was developed into a print that these heads came into the photograph.
No,
anyway,
I don't want to shoot this down, Dan, but isn't it possible with the photography to, gimmick something like this?
Absolutely, but in the time that was taken, which was about 1909, it would have been hard to really smoothly, put other superimpositions into the emulsion. One can argue, of course, that it's all fake. But these people in New York very seriously treat the psychic phenomenon, and I'll tell you how seriously they do. I'm going to read some of the titles here off the quarterly journal of the American Society for Psychical Research. The first article is Sensory Contamination of Free Response ESP Targets, the Greasy Fingers Hypothesis. Here's another one. Hypnagogic Fantasy, EEG, and Psi Performance in a Single Subject. They're very serious about this.
Yes, I can tell that.
And we have another one here. Adventures in Immortality, a look beyond the threshold of death. In any case, they have a great library in New York City. They're running out of money. You might wonder why. And they need funds to keep the library going.
You're serious about this?
Well, I believe there's a basis in fact. I had an interesting experience in New York City when I worked on Saturday Night Live. We were on the 8th floor at NBC there. You know the studio well. I went into the first floor and entered the elevator with a lady. We walked into the elevator. I was going to 8. She pressed 8. I pressed 2. She got out on 2. And I went up to the 8th floor and I realized, hey, I pressed her floor. She pressed mine. Here we were in this confined space. And what happened was probably just a cross circuit between our minds. And
couldn't you
it could have been a coincidence. I don't know.
Couldn't you just both have pressed the wrong floor? I mean,
well, the fact that she pressed mine and I pressed hers gave me to think that maybe an ESP experience had happened there. There's a very famous book that was written about the ghost of Flight 401. I don't know. Hey, everybody knows it. Yeah. The Ghost of Flight 401 concerned the wreck of an Eastern Airlines L-1011. They circled into a swamp. The automatic pilot went out, and Eastern Airlines salvaged all the parts from this particular wreck.
Right.
And about 2 months after this wreck, the galley elevator went out in another L-1011. Eastern Airlines took the galley elevator from the wreck, put it into this other plane, and about 2 or 3 weeks after they did that, events started to happen. Stewardesses, pilots, and passengers started to see the full torso apparition of a pilot with stripes, a hat, and everything. And it got so bad, it got to the point where Eastern Airlines had to issue a directive saying, hey, don't talk about this.
Yeah.
And eventually it got to the point where they have a blanket policy that they don't use parts from wrecks. And this is, you know, documented. And if you walk up to an Eastern Airlines pilot and say, have you seen Don Repo lately? You're going to get a very strange look. Because this
I won't do that.
No. So this is the guy, Don Repo. Apparently he had a name and was identified by pilots even after death.
Outside of the lady on the elevator, have you had any other meaningful experience like that?
I had a dream before my maternal grandfather died. He was a very...
This is,
no, this is paternal great-grandfather.
Oh, yeah, paternal.
Had a dream that he was waving goodbye to me, and the next day got a telegram saying he was dead. And he was, there was no forewarning at all. He was healthy and died very suddenly, you know, at 83 years old. And I figure there's something to it. I don't know. I'm sure if you canvassed people out there in the audience, you'd find someone who's actually had a paranormal experience.
Oh, yeah.
But in Ghostbusters, folks, we're treating it all very lightly, lots of laughs, and all the visual effects and everything are there to make you laugh. So,
okay.
You know.
We'll do this, and we'll be back for another
parapsychology.
Yes. Travel with a band, huh?
Boy, I'll tell you, those guys can't play at all, eh?
Yeah.
Talk about not being tight or anything, you know?
You play drums like I do. Do you ever want to travel with a band?
Well, I had a little of the experience, of course, with the Blues Brothers. We did take it on the road and played with some fine... Yeah. Steve Cropper, Duck Dunn, and everybody, but, boy, we really enjoyed that. That was great.
Yeah. Should we bring out your compatriot in this picture?
Hey, why not?
Bill, of course. Bill had made some very funny pictures. Meatballs, Caddyshack, Stripes, and he's also co-starring in Ghostbusters.
He really carries the ball in this one. We engineered and structured this movie for him. He is great. He's getting the best reviews of his career. Mr. Bill Murray.
Right. All right. You heard what the man said?
Yeah, I
he gave you the whole picture. True?
Yeah, he's a coward. He's a coward. And, it was a difficult job because Harold and Dan wrote the script, and they basically said, why doesn't Bill say that?
They give you
So they gave me all the lines, and I end up looking like a jerk, saying stuff like, okay, guys, let's go! For an hour and 45 minutes.
But you say that well.
Well, I had some practice.
You know, none of us have really met. I saw Dan a couple of years ago at the Oscars. I don't think we have ever met until tonight in the hall, have we?
We made eye contact once.
Yes. Oh, well, I mean, where was that?
There was a dinner for Frank Price, a pioneer of industry dinner, and you were the MC.
True.
And you were wickedly funny.
Thank you.
Really evil in person. You should see this guy in person. I couldn't believe some of the wonderful things you were saying about some of the most horrible people in the world. It was just fantastic.
You were on the dais, were you not?
Well, you say that so grandly, but the dais was about 275 people. And there were about maybe 100, maybe 150 people, and they introduced people like they were introducing the entire Rams team. You know? And it was like a running thing, and then you had to sit there. There were 3 rows of people all the way across the stage eating in front of like 1,500 people. And you'd be sitting there, there was some jabber, and you'd do jokes and introduce people, and then it was eating time. Yeah. So you're sitting there eating, and you'd look, and there'd be like a whole table full of people staring at you, you know, eating. And they go, honey, look. He's using a fork on his Jell-O.
Yes. And you always get one of these. You're just trying to do this.
It's like,
hello there. And they nail you.
Yeah.
You don't like crowds, I take it.
Well, crowds are... I heard a good thing about crowds once. If you just imagine that you're way up above, like in the Empire State Building, then it doesn't bother you so much. It sounds like...
But if you're down biting their ankles, it can be...
Yeah. Somebody once said, pretend the audience is sitting there in their underwear.
Well, a lot of people out there tonight...
I don't know who said that, and I'm sorry. Put your clothes on, folks.
Yeah, that guy's doing time right now.
Dan seems to be caught up in...
Dan's a wreck. Dan's a mess.
Yeah.
This is very serious. Yeah, we'd be working, and he'd be talking about these things and bringing out pictures of his great-grandfather and all this kind of stuff. But I have seen one ghost, and I've talked about this publicly, and I'll talk
No, I haven't heard you talk about it. You've seen a ghost?
Yeah, I saw a ghost. There's a restaurant that we worked in this thing in New York called the Tavern on the Green.
Sure.
And there is a ghost there, and he's a guy, he's a waiter. And he comes up, and he goes through the whole thing, plays it perfectly straight, says, you know, tells you what the special is, and then takes your order, and then he disappears.
You never... I've seen it. I know that. That's it. Yes. That's the ghost of Raoul. Yeah, I had him last week. Do we have a film clip of what these guys are doing in this picture? I guess we do.
We better, or we're going to have to read aloud from this.
Yeah, I can't.
Try one of those.
I love your great granddad, Dan, but does this need, as they say, a setup?
Yeah, this needs a setup. I guess I have to do this again, huh? Okay.
You can split it either way you want.
Well, this is...
what clip is it?
It's the...
Oh, yeah. This will show you how seriously we take all this ghost stuff.
This is the Ghostbusters. Dan and Harold Ramis and myself play parapsychologists who are thrown out of a university and go into business for ourselves, capturing ghosts. And Dan and Harold designed this highly sophisticated equipment, but there's no real market because not many people are willing to admit that they have ghosts.
Right.
But we do get a call finally, and we go to a hotel in New York, and but we've never really used any of this equipment before. We don't quite know what it's going to do.
So this is the first shot?
So this is really the first time...
Okay, here's a clip from the Ghostbusters. That's a short clip. That's it? It's only 10 seconds? That's all you're going to give us, huh?
No.
You guys come on with a 10-second clip. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
All right, lighten up.
Hey, lighten up.
No clip. Hey, what? Pay $5 and see the movie.
Right.
Come on.
This is for free, for nothing here.
That's right. It's nothing.
What is
I
it?
got a real nice picture of Dan. This is his fan club photo.
Let me hold
which
that
she's
over
going to be
here.
sending out to all the young girls.
That's a sweet picture, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
I'll tell you what that was.
Please do.
Yeah, it bears some explanation.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, in making these movies, we had a lot of mechanical effects on stage there, and they use air cannons, pressurized tanks of air at 200 pounds per square inch to get reactions out of us. And that was me being hit in the face with an air cannon.
Yeah.
And I bought one of those air cannons and took it home just for personal thrills.
Lonely Friday nights can be... What is it, Fred? Fred is pointing. Money. Fred is one of the great pointers in our business. We'll do this. We'll be right back. Stay where you are.